And welcome back to day 14 of 14, 14
14.
of the Survivor 50 Seasons and 50 Days podcast. This is actually the longest, this is the latest that I've had to do one of these since 42 and 42. So just finished watching Survivor Fiji, a season that I know a lot of people have ranked low on their lists. Um, I've got a lot of opinions on it because I don't hate it, but we'll kind of get to that. We're joined by Julia Rowe once again. Julia, thoughts on Survivor Fiji throughout your time watching it, and do you kind of understand why people are so low on it?
Yeah, I understand why people are low on Fiji. For me, I'm low on it the same way I am Palau. I know a lot of people can find it exciting if a tribe like loses over and over again, you have that human conflict. I don't find that entertaining. So that first part of the season is a real slog for me for sure.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Palau comparison, I guess, a little later. But there's a there's a very especially when you're talking about Ravu versus Oolong, you just kind of you have to compare them because neither one of them
Yeah.
actually wins an immunity. I know Ravu technically gets one in the season, but neither one of them actually wins, and so the comparison is going to be there, especially being 4 seasons separated. We start the season. So we talked about this yesterday with that was Race Wars 1.0, and we were on the verge of getting Race Wars 2.0
Yeah.
before the game started, which Jeff calls out during the intro. It's like, oh yeah, Fiji's so terrible that someone quit before the game started. And so instead they start off basically like Palau, where they get to the beach, they're building this elaborate camp. Everything is going very well, and they're all realizing, hey, we don't have tribes, we don't have this, we don't have that, what's going to happen? Now, this is normally the part where, so this is the first time I've ever done this recap where I haven't had Gia Worthy on. Gia Worthy,
Mhm.
the biggest Fiji person in the community, where she says, "Oh yeah, this is where the syndicate was born. The syndicate, if people don't know,
Yes.
were all the black folks got together and said, we're not doing this. We're gonna vote together." But this is where it's born. This is where a lot of the pre-tribe portion of the game is born that were not
Yeah.
shown on screen,
And I,
which is
I think
crazy.
another, yeah, I think that's another reason why the season can feel really disjointed at times is because you have these relationships that seem to come out of nowhere, especially when we get into that swap portion and you have people lock in with no explanation or backstory that could have been solved if you just spent 10, 15 more minutes of screen time on the blossoming relationships in that day one portion. And it really hurts, I think, the overall narrative of the season.
Yeah, something that Palau did at least a little bit better than this one is we saw people interacting in Palau before the draft, basically, so that when the draft happens, you do feel for Angie that she's not being picked by Kobe. Like there are storylines going into it that when it happens, it's like, oh man, this sucks or this is great. Here, it's like I have no rhyme or reason why
Yeah.
anybody is being put on these two tribes because it's a little different. They're being put on it, but like you have no real connection to almost anyone, with probably the exception of Rocky or James, because we're in a season where there are at least in my notes, we have 4 people with nicknames. We have Dreams, Papa Smurf, Rocky, and Boo. Um,
This big day in 2026, I learned that Boo's first name is Kenward.
Kenward,
And it
Boo,
just
Kenward
it just rocked me to my core, let me tell you.
is Ken. So, do you know the other Boo fun fact? I guess we can knock this out of the way now.
That
So that
that Russell Hantz
yeah,
got him on.
yes.
Yeah.
So every time I've watched Fiji after I learned that fact,
I'm not a
every time Boo
casual.
talks, they sound so similar
Yes.
that it's because they have the overly thick Cajun accent.
Mm-hmm.
that every time I hear Boo speak, it's like I think I hate you, but like I don't actually hate Boo until Final Tribal.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, it's fine.
yeah, he's just
He's a good
clumsy.
Christian man. He's a
He's
good
a
Christian
good
man.
Christian man. Um, we are in the era now. We're officially in the era now where it's the real idol. We have this is
Yes.
Idol 3.0, which is the idol that we're gonna have until Billie Eilish. Where you have to play it before the vote, or well, before the votes are read. But it's hidden at camp. So we have
Yeah.
Exile Island 3.0 as well, where you go there, but it's basically for them to tell you you're here for no reason. The idol's back at your camp. Are you surprised that they because Idol 1.0 is introduced in 11 and we're already at 3.0 and 14? Are you surprised they went through so many iterations in a 4 season time frame?
I'm not. I feel like Survivor, unless they find something that they really, really like, is known to just like hit it and quit it with a lot of these twists. You'll see things show up once and you'll never hear about it again. So it doesn't surprise me that they tweak so much in such a short period of time, especially with how what we know it as the God Idol now worked in the last 2 seasons and how they really didn't get the flashy show that they wanted. I think with that, I think a new iteration was just, it was natural.
It was yeah, it's bound to happen because the last two, especially the last 2 seasons, where Terry and Yule basically held everyone hostage.
Yeah,
For lack of a better phrase, they've held each other. They've held people hostage. Where it's like, yeah, I dare you to do this.
yeah.
With the regular idol, where the less powered idol that we have now, it's like, yeah, you can hold people hostage all you want. You still have to play it correctly. You can't say,
And
oh yeah, I'll just play it after the vote.
it allows for more intrigue, more interesting votes, I think, with the regular idol. And if you're Survivor, that's what you want.
Yeah, and going back to like the exile part, and I know we talked about it. Me and you talked about it yesterday, along with Erica. As far as is exile exciting once the idol is found, and I do feel like this is definitely one of those seasons where it's not at
Yeah.
all. Like I just don't. I think maybe three or four people go to exile this season. But the fact that I don't know that after just watching it the entire day today says something, because like I check out when they're on exile. I don't care
Yeah.
because we know from the very beginning the idol is back at camp, or at both camps. We have two idols for the first time.
Mhm. Exile only works as well as the cast does. And don't get me wrong, there's some people on Fiji that I really enjoy, but unless you have a really stellar cast that you can put pretty much anyone out on an exile island and you can give them a 4 or 5 minute exile clip that you know is going to be quippy, you know it's going to be fun, it's going to be interesting, exile becomes a slog. It needs to be a season where you have a stellar cast. If you put any like if you had exile on Kagayan or on David versus Goliath or these things, I think it plays a lot better.
I agree, and it's to the point where I can't remember where Earl says I'm the king of Fiji. I don't remember if it was when he was at the Ravu tribe or when he was in exile. And like that is a one of those winner quote moments that people kind of bring
Mhm.
up. Like this is a moment for Earl, but I can't remember at what point in the game. I know it happened in the first couple of episodes. What I do kind of give props to with production in this season is because there was that quit before the game started, for them to be able to improvise. We'll talk about what we get out of it, but because they're able to improvise on the fly and say, hey, we're gonna do this now. Haves, have nots. We're gonna have a draft. We're gonna do this. It's a credit to production
Yes.
for being able to do that. Having said that, obviously, and this is one of the big reasons that people hate the season, is you're I said this during Guatemala, and I mentioned it again basically every episode since then. where Survivor had stopped trying to kill their players, but like this is a season where if you want to really talk old school versus new school, this is old school of we're trying to kill our players, and new school of we're gonna give them all this shit and we're gonna see what happens. And what happens is what we will eventually get to. Is there a way here, knowing that there is a quit, is there a way here, knowing that we have to improvise on the fly, that we could come up with a better or even no twist? Like how do you adjust on the fly here? Or do you think, okay, haves and have-nots, we've never done it before, so why not?
I think at that point you stick with the draft and you have that be the twist. You still have your little things, we have the new idol as we know it. We have later the giving up immunity to keep the camp, but that's based on the have not twist. But you have these little things, and when you're already scrambling because of the quit, you have to put something together that isn't fully thought through. It's better to just do nothing at all.
Yeah, just I guess just do a Palau thing, but you just have the first person start off an egg. Just have the first person start off and do what you did with Bruce in Panama, where
exactly.
Okay, the person that doesn't get drafted just takes the spot.
They'll just join
down. And instead, we end up in a season that, like, this is a detriment to the season for a lot of audience members. Of like, we're watching one tribe die in real time, and we're watching one tribe live in such luxury that we've never seen before on the show. Like, they've got silverware, they've got coffee,
in French press,
they've got bed, they've got literally everything, to the point where. And I was joking about this as I watched the one reward challenge where they have to with the beam, where they have to get back. Because I didn't remember that Ravu just does still lose that challenge. But in my head, Ravu starts off well early on, and it's like, oh yeah, of course, because they're all skinny, so like that would make sense. And they still lose anyway. It doesn't make for compelling television because Go ahead.
It feels like they had this quit, and they just tried to manufacture a Palau, and the whole draw to Palau is, yes, it never happened before, but it was organic. It was a tribe that should have had every advantage. They were younger, they were fitter, and you see them lose and lose and lose and make all of these terrible decisions, where in this season it was rich get richer, let's beat down the little people. And most people who watch Survivor don't root for the top dog, you root for the underdog.
Yeah. In talking about the comparison between Oolong and Ravu, the I guess one of the big differences from the beginning is Oolong. So the game starts basically the same way, where they have to build their own shelter. Oolong does get to keep the camp that they start off with. Like, they don't have to go build a new one. It is Karor that has to go start a whole thing, and they end up still winning everything. Oolong or Ravu here, they start off with the same camp as everyone else and end up losing and have to start their own society elsewhere. And so it's funny that I guess Oolong had the benefit of already having everything that they kind of need, and Ravu doesn't. And to top it off, a lot of the rewards this season are so over the top positive that they're going to keep on losing.
Yeah.
So like when you talk about Ravu compared to Oolong wins more reward challenges. I think Ravu only wins one. Neither one wins any.
What, Oolong win like 2?
Yeah, they win more than one. They win more than one. For you, when you look back on Dumpster Fire Tribes, and at this point in the history of the show, which one do you look at as this was actually the worst?
I go Dumpster Fire Tribe. You have to go Palau and Oolong, but before I go to this season, I go to some of those new era tribes first, some of those like real big stinker new era tribes like Lulu. I don't even think about this as a disaster tribe because, like you said, when the other tribe is just winning all of these insane rewards and you have nothing, you have no food, not a single luxury, you're going to keep losing. I don't want to say there's nothing they could do, but at a point, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do unless Prod steps in. You can't until there's a swamp.
Yeah,
You're just going to have to live with the fact that you're going to be starving until.
yeah. That's why I go to like I said, you go to Oolong, but I think about the Lulus of the world and these just like dumpster fires for no reason. They had a reason. They had a reason why they sucked so bad.
Yeah, and I guess like I said, like early on in the Survivor history, like these are looked at as the dumpster fire.
Mhm.
I guess it could look like Maramu or whatever, but
Yeah.
as far as tribes that don't win a single pre-merge immunity, except for the one they're given in this season, it's like, yeah, you almost feel worse for these people because they already start at a disadvantage, such a disadvantage that it's just demoralizing from the first loss on, and to the point where when they actually do a swap in the season, unlike in Palau, and they keep on losing
Oh,
with this, even
yeah.
though they now have people that are nourished.
Again, but it's not even nurse. It's the tribe that should objectively just demolish. You
Yeah.
have the big, strong men all on one tribe. They
Mhm.
should win everything,
And they
and they
still lose.
can't get a single dub.
They have Lisi, and we'll talk about Lisi. God, just a fun little fact. Yaman, do you may have missed it. Do you remember where Yaman said he's from?
Borneo.
He says he's from Borneo. Yeah, he's from Borneo.
I
Um,
all these years later, I still got it.
he says he's from Borneo, which is and Cassandra goes because this is. I think this season is notorious for like having one person that actually applied for it.
Well, Papa Smurf, right, was the
Yeah,
only person who applied for this.
yeah. So when Cassandra's like, "Oh, where's Borneo? What's this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah," because you've never seen the show before, so of course
No
you
idea
wouldn't know
what
what
this
Borneo
is.
was.
I could tell by her
Um,
water shoes.
yeah, God. Just another thing before we move on. Anthony's occupation is expert witness locator, which is so awesome. Also, when I first watched this season, Anthony was my proxy because I was probably 13, 14 years old. And watching Anthony struggle through being around specifically Rocky just made me hate everyone that eventually votes him out with the big
He
thing on Rocky. Go
he
ahead.
is he is one of two people in Survivor history that I think are like are you. And I think it's
Who's
Anthony,
the other one? Who's the other one?
and I think it's James Jones
Oh,
from I think those both are combine them in that is coach.
well, it's funny because it's not James Jones from New Era. It's what's his nuts from 49. He ended up being like
Jawan.
Jawan. Yes.
No.
Jawan is another one where it's like, oh man, yeah, I could see myself being this
I
person.
think you got
But
some James Jones in you, coach.
I
Anyway,
appreciate I appreciate that. So yeah, blah blah blah. Earl. So because I guess he's one of the more level-headed people in Ravu, and because of history, JT being the first perfect winner and all of that, watching it this time, it aggravates me even more that Rita votes for him during that one tribal because like, hey, we were one Rita vote, just like we were one vote against Sandra at final tribal away from her being the first perfect winner. We're one Rita vote, rogue vote against Earl away from him being the first winner, first perfect winner. What do you think of Earl pre-merge? Because he does go to exile pretty often. But like rewatching it, it's like, yeah, this is one of those instances where it's like, yeah, it's very clear that this man wins because like it's just from the very beginning. It's like he gets a lot of confessionals. It's very clear that he is in a lot of these different alliances that a lot of other people are not, and it's almost always positive content, including the reward challenge right before merge, what they have to do the
Yes,
Fijian tribal dance.
I love that challenge.
Pre-merge Earl thoughts.
Yeah, I Earl is fantastic. There's a reason he gets so much positive content, and it's not because he's the winner, it's because he's one of the only like positive people, good people on the season, through and through. I think this cast is full of some not so great characters or people, and he's just a shining light throughout the whole thing. If he wasn't on the Ravu Disaster Tribe, I think it would be like damn near impossible to watch. It would be like watching the tribe that's not Kasaya on Panama. They would be
Oh,
like they'd be unwatchable.
what? And even just talking about this in real time, if Earl's not on, we talked about the Syndicate earlier. If Earl's not on Exile, the round that Erica goes home, Erica probably stays, and
Yeah.
you kind of go from there. If the swap, this is all what if, but like if the swap doesn't happen, Anthony probably stays. Dreams
Mhm.
doesn't want to get rid of Anthony, but it's like I kind of have to because of this. And we'll talk about Dreams and the game player the underappreciated game player that he is, because
Yes.
Dreams is one of the people in the season that kind of understands what to do here. But yeah, Earl pre-merge in the as far as the game is concerned, it's very just like, yeah, this man has no faults at
No.
all. It's almost disgusting how many non-faults that he has. And in fact, when Yao-Man finds the idol and he talks about like, oh yeah, this young black guy and me, and it's like, but then Earl has a conversation where he's like, oh yeah, I've got Michelle, I've got Cassandra, I've got Yao-Man, he's got so many people. It's like this man can't lose because these people aren't smart enough,
Yeah.
because all recruits, these people aren't smart enough to realize that it's not about challenges, it's not about telling the truth, it's just about playing people. And we'll get
Yeah.
up to Final Tribal a little later. I just want to quickly point out, we don't have a white woman with dreads this season, but we do have
Thank
Michelle.
God.
But we do have Michelle, who, yes, it's a tad different, but in the pot, because Michelle is one of those players similar to you. You came on for Africa. There, she's the Jesse Camacho of the season. Of She just has all of these stands on the internet, and like she
Be-
really doesn't do much this season, but
It's
like
because she was robbed. And you know what? She wasn't. I'm here to say she
it
wasn't.
was it was a fuck ass twist. Like
It was
it
a
was
fuck
very
ass twist, but like, was she robbed? No.
no. But like it was a fuck ass twist that like
It
because
was
we're
a
in
fuck ass twist. It was a fuck ass twist, but it's a fuck ass twist that's now on every season of New Era Survivor, and we're all just like, okay,
is it?
cool. It was a demerge. We demerge all the
You're,
fucking time.
you're,
That's why it's like,
you're,
oh my god, when people say that was the most twist screwed person in Survivor history, robbed out, I go, don't talk to me about that.
you clearly haven't seen the first season in Fiji when when we were doing this, and they can't go back to camp. They're just going to tribal and just kind of, we're just gonna see what happens. We're just gonna see what happens when they get there. But we'll get to that. Mookie and during the Erica round, Mookie and Rocky kind of get upset that Erica has a relative attitude during the challenge. It's not even over the top. It's just, hey, I think it's this. They get rid of her. I'm not going to go down that road. But this is really where my hatred of Rocky kind of takes off, and it only matched by my hatred of somebody else in the season that we're going to get to. Rocky also just does not look like Sylvester Stallone, and
At
also we
all.
talked about this yesterday. As far as Adam has the most
Very
punchable face.
punchable face.
Rocky has such a punchable face this season, and also it feels like he's leaning into the Boston thing, because like everything he says is like, this feels fake. This doesn't feel. It almost feels like James from Palau, where it's like, I feel like you're leaning way too heavily into this archetype of I'm from Boston, including the Boston tattoo. What were your thoughts on Rocky, or James as his mama calls him?
Not a fan. I'm not a fan. When I say I just think there's some not good characters and some not good people, I think he's both. I think he's both. Like you said, everything he does seems very disingenuous, very inauthentic. He's putting on a front, and like, yes, I like people to embellish who they are, but to me, he's a lot like Coach,
Yes.
where this is not them. This is just some massive character they're putting on, and I never vibe with that. And he's also just a really shitty person. You can tell he doesn't like women. He
Well,
microaggresses the fuck out of like most of the people of color out there. Not for me.
and the thing is, yes, it does feel like he's coming off as a character until Ravu continues to lose and he continues to have these like outbursts. And it's like, no, this guy just kind of seems like it's an angry human being. It like I do feel like he's still leaning to the Boston aspect of
That's what I mean.
everything.
Like, he has anger issues, and the anger issues are him. But they'll like, hey, I'm Rocky.
Yeah,
Hey, like,
yeah. I've got a lot of nicknames, Jeff, and it's like, what the fuck am I calling you? One of my favorite James. One of my favorite Jeff moments is like, okay, yeah, I get that, but what am I calling you? Because you can't just say, oh, I've got a lot of nicknames, Jeff.
I'm gonna start calling you the
Rocky. I
Boston
guess
Diva.
Rocky. I guess Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, and it's so funny because at Final Tribal, if I were to rank every Final Tribalist as far as how pissed off and bitter they are, Rocky would probably be in the middle, because he's not as aggressive as other people that are there, but it's still aggressive enough where it's like, I still hate you. Um,
And I have a theory
Rocky,
about why.
I have a theory about why Alex was, but we'll get to that. For as far as Rocky is concerned, I think where it really gets bad is his whole relationship with Anthony. And he's soft, he's like a woman, he's this, he's that, he's crying, and I understand. I get toxic masculinity. I understand that is a thing then, and it's a thing now. For me, we've seen strong men on the show to this point cry.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a strong man versus, this is a, you believe that this man, because he's wearing glasses or because of whatever, because he's a blurred, is where I think it is. You think that this man is so overly soft that he's not a man because of everything else. And it where I really check out of this season is the round that Anthony does go home.
Yeah,
Because
it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, and you almost, because you've seen Alex and Edgardo feel bad for Dreams and Cassandra when Lacey is like treating them like shit on their OG tribe. It's like, okay, so these people are clearly empathetic. Why are they not going to bat for this person? And it might just be because of talent, strength, whatever. They vote out Rocky next anyway. Just thoughts.
Yeah, it is really uncomfortable. It's, I think, one of the most uncomfortable episodes of the show that's like not talked about at all. The way he treats Anthony is gross. And if there was anything redeemable about Rocky, because, he's being exciting television and dramatic, all of that washes away in that moment.
Yeah, when people talk about, villains, Jeff said he doesn't want villains, which, if you haven't seen Tyson's interview with, I don't remember who it was, on the red carpet for 50, and Tyson talks, I think it was Savannah. It was Savannah. Tyson talks about how he thinks Savannah's a great villain, and he thinks that what Jeff meant when he said that was like we're not going to show the villainous aspects of players as much anymore because everyone is both villainous and heroic. And I think this is one of those examples of we just don't want people like this anymore. We don't want people like this who are just actual pieces of shit, you know. And yes, and I'm biased because Anthony is both a skinfolk and a proxy, but it's like why are you so overly angry at this man when you blew it during a couple of challenges? People don't like your attitude. This game is not about, you know, and he doesn't, and you have a punchable face. On the other side of Rocky, we have my other least favorite person this season, Lacey. If we're just talking pre-merge, if we're not even talking about pre-swap, we're not even talking about swap, we're talking about pre-merge. Her and Stacy's attitude towards Dreams and Cassandra for not knowing how to make coffee. I will tell you, I was 27, 28 years old when I learned how to make coffee. Like I didn't know how to do it. I never cared to know how to do it.
I can put it in my little coffee machine, but you stick a French press in front of me, forget it. I don't know how to use that. I drink coffee every day.
Just, am I muted? Oh, okay. It just seems like too much work, I guess. But also, it's like, why are y'all so? You're the ones that are being nourished. Like, you have no reason. If you want to give excuses to anyone, you can give one to Rocky of like, okay, he's malnourished, he's just on edge, whatever. With these two, they're eating a lot, they're drinking a lot, both, and you are rolling your eyes and you're judging these two. And I understand they're not in your alliance, and this is where one of the reasons that I don't like Alex is because during this moment, him and Edgardo are basically like, hey, even though they're not in our alliance, we can't treat them like shit because what happens at the next phase of the game. Alex is getting so frustrated at the fact that Boo, Stacy, and Lacey are just like, whatever. Like they're the next ones out anyway. And you empathize with Alex despite the fact how he carries himself during Final Tribal. You empathize with him because it's like, yeah, I get it. Why would we antagonize the people on the bottom when we know there is a situation where we're going to need them? And he does need Dreams a little later, and Dreams does vote with him with the alliance during the Michelle vote. But it's frustrating from his perspective because Lacey specifically is just a fool. She has that moment. She has the moment where the swap happens, and it's like, oh, I can go. There's the funny 115 moment where she falls during the
challenge. Yeah. So funny.
There's the moment that she actually does go home where she's kind of saying like, yeah, I don't know if there's the moment where she catches, I think, Edgardo or I don't remember who it was.
And she's like, it takes a little bit to get over on me.
Yeah, get it over me. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, fine, Lacey.
Fucking asshole.
She's the worst, and I think if we were taking everything into account, including Final Tribal, she is worse than Rocky for me because of the insulting question that she does ask at the end of it. Are there any redeeming factors for Lacey pre-merge?
No.
The end.
She made a song about tidy whities, I guess. And maybe that's the only good thing she's ever done.
So I guess going off of that, how do you feel about the idol being hidden at camp now? Like we're now at the point, because we're gonna the big moment where we get an exile clue to something being hidden at camp is Micronesia in a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Like the fact that exile really is just a place to go to like suffer, but also we get a clue to an idol that's not even here.
I love that. I love that the stuff is back at camp because it adds that extra layer of, okay, now I have to work for it. Now I have to maybe let someone in on it so they'll lead people away and I can dig, or I have to be stealthy and do things in the middle of the night. It just adds another layer of the hunt. And I enjoy that. I like having to see people work for it. I want to just be in exile.
Well, and we're still at that point, and I talked about this last couple of days where like exile does become relatively boring once the idol is found, and especially today where it's like
Yeah.
because it's Earl, Yao-Man, and Lisi for the most part going to exile every round. It's like I don't care about this anymore. I don't care that these people are here. I don't need this segment.
Just specifically with how the idol is directly at camp, I think it's a really happy medium of how the idol is hidden in later seasons and how it's employed in the new era. Because, like I said, it's that happy medium of as you're getting into the late teens, the 20s, idol's just somewhere off in the jungle. You can go and you can find it, and you don't have to tell anyone. No one will ever know. And then we get in the new era where it's going to take 4 people knowing about the idol to find it. And I think this one's a happy medium where, okay, maybe I have to tell someone because I need to lead them away. Maybe I risk doing it by myself. And you're still getting that aspect that production likes of maybe you have to let someone in on it and that can blow up later. But it's not the whole tribe knows, and now it's basically a useless tool in your arsenal. And it's something I'd like to see them bring back.
Yeah, I mean, with the open era, we can get
Open era, anything's possible.
we can get anything. We won't go down that road. So we get right before we get to the swap. Dreams talks about, and this is we'll talk about Dreams here. Dreams talks about how because Alec and Gutter kind of come to everyone in their tribe and say, "Hey, like, let's be on the same page." And Dreams is like, "Yeah, but I really don't want to because fuck these people, specifically Stacy and Lisa. Like, I'm not trying to vibe with them. I'm gonna bide my time until I can flip on them because why would I want to work with people that have treated me like shit?" And this is where we learn about Dreams, the strategist, which I feel like was at once buried through the show's history, and I feel like people have started to appreciate Dreams as
they've reclaimed. He's been reclaimed.
Yes, as the years has progressed, because like yes, it's chaotic the way that he plays. He's not purposely being chaotic. He just plays chaotically. Yeah. But it works for him because he makes it to the final 3 and he understands everything that's going on as the game goes. And I think growing up, my real qualm with Dreams was when they're in the tent and he was like, "Hey, who are all the white people in here?" And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, why are we doing this? But like that was really my only big issue with Dreams growing up. And like I understand the truck stuff and we'll get to that, but like even that was taken out of context because of what actually happened.
To me, there's like a worse thing he does in the game that I can point to than the truck bullshit. And that's how he handles the merge, specifically after the Michelle. I think like that vote and the outfall of Edgardo going, I think he just mismanages all of his relationships on that vote.
Sure. Yeah, and even then that's a game thing. That's a game thing that like, yeah, especially for someone that's not really he's not a super fan or anything. Like he just plays it wrong. We talked about that yesterday with Parvati and some of the stuff she did in Cook Island. Like you don't if you don't know what the game is, hey, people fuck up.
Shit happens.
Yao-Man finds the idol. It's a turtle. He kisses it. It's an adorable scene. This is my idol. Yes, I know there's another one on the other island, but this is mine. This is mine.
He's so cute. He's so cute.
He's adorable. and he tells Earl about it, and this is where one of Earl's three big alliances in the game really takes off. The one with
Mhm.
Cheryl, the one with Cassandra and Dreams, and then the one with the Owlman. But this is where it really takes off, and we get one of the more underappreciated duos in the show's history. And I think because it's Fiji, people don't really look at it. It's like, oh, it's just Yao-Man, and he gets voted out fourth. So but like this is a hand in hand alliance. Like this is the two most likable people out there that and Earl basically uses Yao-Man as a shield for the rest of the game. The fact that he never catches another vote. Yao-Man, this is he's.
He's so
I was thinking
great.
about today. It's like as far as archetypes so far in the show's history, who would he most fall into? And I know this is a weird comparison, but like Rudy, where it's just like this cute old guy that
Yeah. Like,
he's not saying what Rudy is saying, but like it's the cute old guy that we kind of want to
yeah,
see him.
we love. I like that. I
What?
think it's a really good comparison.
So, what are your thoughts on Yao Man?
He's adorable. He's wonderful. You can tell he just loved being out there and the experience, where it seemed like a lot of people were like, again, really not happy with the season. Like, Yao was always having a good time, but he also played the fucking game. He played the game. Successful idol play, king. What were we use like the first real successful idol play, because I'm not counting fucking Gary Hogaboom.
Hawkins, he's a landscaper.
Yeah, he's a landscaper. He's a really good game player, and I think one of the now more underappreciated characters in the show's history.
Well, and I think the thing is, so with Yao Man, and he's talking about later about how he thought he was going to be portrayed as a villain, specifically with the dreams thing. The fact that he's the only person that comes back from this season, it's like I get it from an audience standpoint, I guess. But like you look even Vanuatu, you get Amy, you don't get Eliza, but you appreciate the fact that Eliza was brought back. You look at Cook Islands, what we were talking about yesterday. You get Ozzy, you get Yule in Winners at War. You don't get Parvati in Micronesia, but like you appreciate the fact that she gets brought back.
Yeah,
I guess, depending on who you are, you appreciate the fact that Candace is brought back. You appreciate that
different
Penner,
strokes.
yeah,
Different
different strokes.
strokes.
But like you, with Yao, it's like okay, I get it and I appreciate it, and he doesn't whatever outsay your welcome means in Micronesia, he doesn't outsay his welcome there.
He has
I
universal appeal.
yeah, he because of his archetype and because
Yes.
he's shown as Ravu. Ravu's kind of the same thing as I won't say Lamina, and I won't I guess I won't say Chewigon, but like I guess with the Chewigon comparison would be there's likable people and there are hateable people, and I guess with Ravu, it's like yeah, but like we've got Yao-Man, yeah, we've got fucking Rocky and Mookie, but like we've also got Yao-Man, we've got Earl here, like we can kind of vibe with these people.
Yes.
And I think that's another big difference between this and Oolong is with Oolong, it's like okay, we're supposed to be rooting for Stephanie, and that's it.
When you have someone like really hateable, it makes your heroes look better. Like, would Rupert have looked as fucking fantastic if Johnny Fairplay also wasn't on that starting tribe?
Yeah, if it was
I
just
think
him and
like you
Sandra,
need,
yeah, it's different.
it's different. The worse people you have in your tribe, the more rootable your heroes become.
Yeah, and I think here because we have Rocky and Mookie, like I don't hate Mookie or anything, but like I put Mookie in the Rocky category. We have these two, but we also have Earl. We have Yao Man. For me, where I have Anthony, of just like yeah, you want these underdogs to come back, and then we have the sumo challenge where it's it starts off with Rocky and Dreams. It's like well, I guess I'm hoping that Rocky loses here because he has a big fucking mouth and he really thinks he can take Dreams on. Are you serious? Look at this man. Like they're just insane, and Rocky just runs
Yeah,
his fucking mouth the entire time. It's
crazy.
like, yeah, I hope he loses, and he does. And yes, it sucks for Ravu as a whole, but it's like, Rocky got shut up, so he can't be this tough guy anymore, especially around
Yeah,
Dreams, because he got put in this
and kicked his
place
ass.
because Dreams kicked his ass. Um, I before we get to the before we get to the merge, I want to quickly talk about the only time that OG, oh God, what is Dreams OG tribe's name? I can't remember. Um, the only time that they have to vote, Dreams sits there at camp and says, "Okay, our weakest people are Cassandra and Lisa."
Moto.
Moto, yeah,
Moto.
or Moto. We have to vote Lacey or Lacey or Cassandra because they're the weakest. Because I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to do all of this. Let's do honesty, integrity, which is what we talked about yesterday and what I've talked about for the first 13 days of this. We are still in honesty, integrity era. This is not some new thing that the new era has brought us. This has always been a
No
thing.
thanks. It's always been here.
It's always been a thing on the show, and crazy enough, Lacey or Cassandra don't go home this round, but Dreams, he's trying. Honestly, he's trying to protect people's feelings, which is crazy. But he's trying to protect people's feelings, but saying, "Hey, let's not backstab. Let's just go after one of these people. Let's just be done with it." Lacey at the swap talks about wanting to be done, and this is not the first time. Oh, this is the first time. This is not the last time that she does it, so that when she gets voted out right before the merge, it's like, yeah, no shit. I know Jeff hates quitters, and technically Papa Smurf's evacuation in the season is considered a quit because they gave him the option of staying.
Terrible.
I still considered the Lacey one to be more of a quit than the Papa Smurf quit because Lacey is basically asking to be voted out.
She's asking to be voted out. Papa Smurf, it's like, yes, I can stay, but if there's a chance it's going to get worse, or I'm like, why wouldn't you go? And to call that a quit when there's so many people who have just been like, it's fine, that have been voted out, that's unfair to
I want to get my Zins. I will always go back to Zins. Zins is the worst excuse to quit. Austin, I get. Papa Smurf, I get. B,
yes,
I get. Like, I get.
B, totally get.
Yeah. Zins, no, not so much.
No.
It's frustrating.
Whatever, Sean from that season 2, like, fucking miss me with that bullshit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It ended up being a really good season, but like we get 2 quits that are just out of nowhere. But yeah, Papa Smurf is like, this man is struggling through 2 episodes and is able to chow down pig snouts during the food challenge. He's able to chow down 4 of those while after getting hurt, and he's still just like, I can't do this anymore. And for me, like, I understand everyone is different, but I've never considered that a quit. I consider it basically the same thing as like a Jenna Maresca thing, where it's like, I have to go. Boo fucks up his ACL in this, and he lasts, and like, more power to him. Good for him. If he leaves,
I don't understand.
He has the same injury as B in this spot.
Yeah.
And if Boo goes, it's like, okay, yeah, you're an athlete. You know what your knees, like, you understand knee injuries.
Yeah, I get it.
Mm.
I hate her. I don't know if I've made that clear.
Oh, Lacey.
God, I hate her.
Well, don't worry, because the round that she goes, Dreams is basically saying, hey, as everybody else, have you had any issues with being here? Have you thought about quitting? Do you want to be here? And Lacey's just like, oh. Also, I can't remember the exact word that he uses for soliloquy, because he doesn't know the word soliloquy, so he keeps saying Shanali, should this, should that, and I hate using this word because it sounds condescending, but it's not. Like, it's adorable that he doesn't know the word, but he's trying to say it. Juice is such a fun character, and even if I don't think he's a villain, whatever, but like, if you put him on the villain tribe and here's his villains, it's like, okay, at least we get Dreams back.
Yeah.
So the merge twist. We talked yesterday about how Cook Islands was just plagued with twists every round. This round, this game, it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad as far as twists are concerned. Specifically here, where it's not a fake merge like in Thailand, but it is we're going to split up immediately, and the losing tribe is going to go to tribal, and you're just going to suck it up and not have to go back to camp, and you're not going to have any time to scramble, and this is where we lose Michelle. Fair or foul?
Half and half. I think the for me, if I'm going full my opinion, fair ball game. I can understand why the not having time to talk can upset people, but the demerge, the breaking up, it's not going to be the last time we see it. I think it's normal in the Survivor pantheon at this point, and I don't think it was egregious to do even all the way back then. Like I said, if it's anything, it's the no talking time. But for me, fair ball game.
Yeah, if anything, you might want to compare it to the Matthew round in 44.
Mm-hmm.
Matt or Matthew, I know they had two in that season, where it's like, hey, but he had all the stuff back at camp and he couldn't go back and get it. So, and it's like, yeah, the same thing with, I feel like that's the biggest comparison. It's like, yeah, Michelle has no time to do anything. And like, they had just merged. So like, if in a world where Michelle has never been on the same tribe as any of these other people, she doesn't know, she can't use social game here because it really is, let's just vote out the person we don't know. Like, this is not the case, but like there is a situation where it's like, oh, we know this person from day one, we have to build a camp and that's it. Ian's here.
Oh my god, Ian's here.
Hold on.
Hello, I'm so
get him in. Do you see him? Okay, all right.
He was in, and then you kicked him out. And then you kicked him out.
Hello.
Okay, Ian.
Yes.
Ian. Fake merge. Michelle boot.
Yes.
Go.
What a fucking joke, dude. It's so, like, I don't think I've seen this season so many times, and I just don't think I realized how stupid that twist is. It's just, like, so unlucky. Because I don't know if she was going to, like, win the game, but I do feel like, for what is it? She finishes, like, 9th or 10th? Or 8th?
Ninth.
Yeah, to be like a 9th boot and like not a returnee player, you just kind of get lost. I feel like she is like one of those lost players. Like, unless you're like a massive fan of the game, she's just kind of like not someone you think about. And I think she's a good player. But yeah, it's what?
What do you think about her dreads?
Mostly focus. Yeah, it's not great.
Ian, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. So we lose Michelle here, and then we get to probably the most famous moment of the season. We get the Edgardo blindside, the Stacy saying, "Hey, let's do this." For me, it's always been, I hate Stacy because of how she's shooting dreams at the during the pre-merge, but like also good on her for putting this out there. And and I know I've brought him up a lot, but like Mario Lanza was the person to put me on to the Earl face during the Edgardo blindside. And we've talked about this a lot over the last 13 days as far as like big blindsides pre-20. Ian, for you, the Edgardo blindside, as far as pre-20 blindsides are concerned, Is it up there? Is it number one? Like, where does it kind of fall for you?
I mean, this is like I wasn't here earlier, so my opinions and stuff about the season. This is like what I consider to be the best season of Survivor to show a person like a new fan. Um, it has like a little bit of everything. It has like the shitty part of Survivor with like the haves have not twist. It has good alliances. It has someone to root for. It has a whole group of people to root against. I think the Edgardo blindside is like I still think it's like one of the greatest blindsides in Survivor history. It's just like what's I guess what Stacy did, but what they all did at that time was like a new strategy. It was the first season where the idol had to be played before the vote, so you couldn't just like use it after if you got the most votes. So there was, I just don't know how. I think that gets lost in the fold of like people don't realize how maybe ahead of time that was like, hey, if we know it's going to be in X place, like, why don't we just vote for their ally? So and Edgardo's face is just fucking awesome. Like, it's just
It
so good
is.
when they
His
show him,
smile
like,
dropping. It's just, yeah. Well,
he just dies inside. It's awesome.
talking about this yesterday with that Cowboy. I know, like, that was the second season that we had the Super Idol, but like Cowboy breaking the Super Idol 2 seasons in is topped by this one because this is the third version of the Idol that is broken within a matter of a few episodes of like, oh yeah, let's just, if we really want, they don't have to split the vote or anything. It's just let's just vote for the person that's least likely to have it. Julia, for you, does this get topped before we get to 20 and beyond?
For me, it does. This is a top 5 pre-20. I don't know exactly where it'd fall, but I think the James blindside for me is just, it's always gonna take the cake just for how fucking insane
I guess
it
I should have played.
was.
I guess I should have played.
Yeah, like just for how fucking insane. But you have to give this its flowers for being the first of its time.
Yeah, and it is just talking about like as far as like Marquesas or Vanuatu, as far as the game.
The Leanne,
Yeah,
yeah.
the game shifts here to the point where it's like, unless something crazy happens, and because of the era of Survivor we're in now, where we're playing with cartoon characters and maybe one or two people that actually know what the game is about, there's no way that anyone's going to flip the game on Earl at anyone that he is aligned with. He's probably making it to the end of the game. Yes, we have the benefit of hindsight, but still, once we break this alliance and Alex is trying to fight his ass off to make it through, it's like, yeah, don't worry about it because I've got everyone else that doesn't understand that you should probably get rid of me instead of just picking you guys all off. It's such good shit, pal. The other big thing that happens, Alex tries to fight his way through it and it doesn't work too well for him, and we're gonna get back to Alex for final tribal. Is the truck deal. Now, like I said before, this is the first time I haven't had Gia Worthy on to talk about Fiji through the times I've done this marathon. And if you don't know, it was kind of agreed upon beforehand that everyone was going to let Dreams have the truck. It was a collective, like everyone's going to let Dreams have the truck. And also Yao-Man thought he was going to be portrayed as the bad guy after it was all done. Truck deal happens. We get to Final Four, and Dreams does not even. He swore to God, which is to call back to Vanuatu. You can't do that.
You can't.
Dreams swears to God, yeah, man, don't worry, you're good. Ian, the first time you watched this, how did you feel about how this all unfolded at that Final Four, and has your opinion changed on it throughout? Because I know a lot of people have changed their minds on Dreams throughout the years. Have you always been this one way, or has your mind kind of changed?
So this was the first season I watched in full live on TV, which is another reason why I love the Edgardo move so much, is because I remember it so vividly. So like a lot of nostalgia for it. But when it happened, I was like I'm I was almost like glad he didn't do it because I wanted Earl to win so badly, and I don't know if he. I truly don't know what happened. Like I think Earl's played one of the best games ever, and I hold myself back from saying that because like what if the truck deal goes through like it's supposed to? Because then who knows if Earl wins at all? Because Yao Man was just so damn likable. Um, I would say my opinion really hasn't changed. I have no religious affiliation. So if you swear on God, it means absolutely nothing to me. So that's like, whatever. But I just feel like, if in a game like Survivor or any game where like lying is a factor, like who cares what you swear on? I mean, obviously you shouldn't swear on, to me, you shouldn't swear on like your kids or your partner but God means nothing to me. So it's just,
You hate Twyla, but
yeah,
Hate Twilight.
yeah. But yeah, I
Julia.
feel like my opinion of the whole situation is still the same. Like I think it's overblown what happened, like what people
Absolutely.
still talk about it. And it's
Yeah,
like it's not even something I ever think about when I think about the season, to be honest.
I feel like it's a casual fan type thing at this point, where like you can tell if someone's watching it for the first time or if they only watched it once. Where it's, oh man, can you believe he did that? It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a game for $1 million. It's a game for $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and like say say Boo is Yao Man and the roles are reversed. Like, I don't know if maybe he gives it to Boo because Boo's not going to win the game hands down if he gets to the end. It just like switch.
Yeah. Or even if it was a situation where they actually had the final two, like they all thought they were going to have. Because if it's final three or final four, okay, maybe I give it to Yao. We vote out whoever. We're still going to beat his ass in an immunity challenge. The final three, we call it a day. Like, it was this specific situation that had to happen for Dreams to look like the ultimate asshole. And he made the right move. He did the right move.
Agreed.
I don't
It
care what
was
anyone
yeah.
says.
You want to talk about big moves? This is an OG big move in the show's history.
Yeah.
And Dreams does bring it up during Final Tribal, which we'll get to in a second. I kind of, and I've talked about this the first two times I've done the marathon, as far as my opinion on what a bitter jury means compared to what a lot of other people believe. So for me, a bitter jury is how the actual jury treats the actual finals, no matter how they vote. So, like for me, it's always All Stars, Vanuatu, Fiji are the three most bitter juries because these people are just so overly pissed off at the finalists that it really doesn't matter how they vote. It more matters that they're attacking these people personally. I don't give a shit about Samoa and all these other, like they are not attacking Russell and Mick or whatever. They're attacking Mick a little bit, but like whatever. Fiji, it almost every time I watch Fiji, it's like no, I like this for the most part. It sucks that Ravu loses so many times, and Rocky and Lisi suck, but like Fiji's not that bad. And then you get to Final Tribal, and for me, it's like, wow, this is you. I almost get angry watching it. Not even almost. I get
You
angry.
were getting angry.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was getting angry watching it because the questions just come off as just these people are either overly pissed off that they lost to Dreams and Cassandra and Earl in some cases. They're either trying to showboat for the camera and other aspects, or it's like they watched Borneo and were like, I want to have my Sue Hawk moment. Julia, for you, one, what do you consider a bitter jury? Like what is your definition, I guess, of a bitter jury? And why do you think these people were so pissed off at this final three? You know, I'm talking about Boo bringing up, oh, Dreams is a horrible Christian because he swore and this, that, and the other. And like, yes, I understand he's from fucking Cajun country, so like, whatever. Alex, I'm going to save for after I ask Ian my question, but like, why do you think these people as a whole were so overly angry at these three?
Yeah, so I have a different definition of a bitter jury. I do believe that the finalists cultivate a bitter jury in the game based on how they treat players on their way out or go about things. I don't necessarily think, like you, that a bitter jury is because people vote a certain way, but I do think players cultivate a bitter jury. And why people act a certain way, I said it before, a lot of these people are not good people. Lacey, not a good person. Boo, probably not a good person. I think a lot of alcohol was also added to the mix. And this is our first all black final three. And I think there's a certain subset of people who are in this game that probably also didn't appreciate losing to all of them. I think all of that combined is why we get such an explosive final tribal council from certain members of the jury.
Ian, do you know how many zeros at the end of a million? But also, but also, your definition of a bitter jury, and do you feel like whatever kind of came into play with this jury specifically?
Yeah, I feel like I would say I agree with both of you. I do agree with Julia. Like I think the players themselves create a bitter a bitter jury. Again, I agree with you, Andrew. Though, like I don't think the game comes down to how you treat people, and you know how you vote someone out. The strategy part is also how you treat them. Every game is different based on the people you're playing with. That's what makes the game so great. But I do think some jurors are way too hard on finalists because they believe themselves to be the ones that should be there. Similar, I think a lot of people on this jury felt that way. But I do think that the how you treat people in the game creates those jurors. In this situation, I've learned actually from hosting games, not even from Survivor, but I do believe it to be true in real Survivor, that if you're mayor of Ponderosa or the first people that go to Ponderosa for the jury are good people, then the jury is overall balanced. They come in more open. In this case, you had the two fucking worst people ever as the first two jurors. Imagine going to Ponderosa as is Michelle's the third juror.
Well, third
She's
jury.
Oh God.
imagine being her. She is probably, even if she's happy or like in a good mood when she gets there, after 20 minutes, she's gonna want to kill herself because Rocky and Lisi are just they're probably just giving her the most negative shit ever. Like they've never been positive about anything in their whole lives, which like is kind of why I think they're funny. But like, and then Edgardo goes after that. He's not happy. Mookie not happy, and Mookie shouldn't be happy. Nothing good happened to him this entire game.
He's been bothered the entire time.
When they took the bed, by the time you got to the good job.
I feel bad for Mookie. Like I've seen this season so many times, but I remember the last time I watched it. I was like, damn, bro, Mookie just got like the shit end of the, and
he got his shit rocked.
Yeah, and I'm friends with him on Facebook. I feel like he could come back and play. Like he's in pretty good shape.
He probably
would
like
be
early 40s at this
I
point.
mean, it couldn't go any fucking worse for him. I mean,
they're not going to try to kill you like they did this season.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like I feel like that's part of the reason it is. You do have a group of just negative or mean people. With the minority final three that probably didn't go well for certain people. But I do think like when you show up to Ponderosa and the people that greet you are just pissed the whole time, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to be pissed too, because what else is there to be? I mean, I don't know. That's just how I feel though. I don't know if, you guys have experienced that in games or
No, and I will say if we're just talking about your specific game of DCP, like I was Mayor Ponderosa when I played Exile Island, and I felt like I felt like I was fairly positive, and I do feel like for the most part the jury was fairly positive for the most part.
Yeah.
So, and I played many games with Julia, and same thing. It's like you want to set the tone for everyone else coming. Like if someone's going to come in pissy, you just got to give them their own space. Like, and same thing with live games is give them their own space. If they're not the first person in, if they're the first person in, you have to talk to this person because there's nobody else to talk to. With Alex, this is more of an Alex Booth thing, but specifically Alex. So I think that Alex is pissed drunk for this. There's no way because he is the most pissed off person here that isn't bringing up religion, which is Boo. And like I said at the beginning of this is now 14 seasons in a row where honesty and integrity has been brought up at a final tribal, which once again goes to the people that hate post-COVID Survivor of like, oh yeah, it's all about this. It's like, this has always been a thing. This has always been a thing on the show. This is not like, you can pick specific seasons where it's not, but like the specific jurors are always looking for this. They're looking, you lied to me. You did this, you did that. It boggles my mind, one, that Alex cares enough about this that he brings it up, but two, that people just kind of wiped it from their memory for post-COVID Survivor of like, oh yeah, it wasn't always like this. It's like, no, it has been. It has always been like this.
The people that get mad at honor and integrity coming up in 48, 50, whatever, were the ones who started watching Survivor in 2021 and put on like Kagayan and David versus Goliath off Netflix and then said, I'm like a Survivor expert, I'm starting with the new era. Those are the people that think honor and integrity is this novel concept that just got invented in the big year 2025. Like you said, you go back to the beginning and you watch it through, it's there. It's a continuous thread through line that you can pull to connect almost every single season of Survivor. And it will never go away.
Yeah. Ian?
Yeah, I think the only seasons where it's not like a prevalent idea at final tribal or someone doesn't bring it up is when it's a returning season, like a returnee player season, because no one gives a shit about that because the people who have played the game before know that it's almost impossible to win. Even in the older era, like first 20 seasons, like it's almost impossible to win without lying. I mean, Russell in 20, goes above and beyond and people still don't like that. But yeah, I mean, I do think the honor and integrity people are people that are butthurt they lost. And I think that's like the easiest thing for them to grasp onto, especially if they didn't do any lying. But everybody
Everyone lies.
Everybody lies. And it's lame. It's so lame to say that like you don't, or like what, you're not playing the game if you're not lying.
And that's, we talked about Panama a couple of days ago, and Terry's so, Terry's never voting for a woman. Hot take, but Terry's never going to vote for Danielle. But he's like, yeah, Danielle, you sat here and said that like sometimes you have to, but like I never did. It's like, yeah, because you guys told Dan Fuego you were voting him out doesn't make you better than everybody else. Because if you play in any other season, if your son does get fucking sick in second chances, you're probably going to be very pissed off when they blindside you, because everyone else lies. Just because you are honesty and integrity doesn't mean much. But
people don't have to adhere to your moral code,
especially when you're one of 20 people or one of 18 people. It's
and this is why that's why I fought with so many people of the Devons versus Joe in 50. It's like, well, I don't understand like why everyone's like getting mad at Joe for wanting to play certain way. It's like, Joe could do whatever the fuck he wants, but you can't expect everyone else to adhere to your ideals.
And I still vote for Joe Jonathan, but that's just me. But that's just me. Just three more things before we get to our final kind of wrapping up. I I talked about this before. There was a behind the scenes alliance that they do not show us on screen. And Ian, I want to kind of go with you first with this because for me, Earl, like bias wise, Earl is top 5 winners for me. And it seems like he's one of your favorites as well. He's in this day one alliance with all the black players, the syndicate, which basically just becomes Dreams and Cassandra as the game continues. But we don't really see that. Like they don't ever say this is an actual alliance of 3. This is just it's kind of ends up like, oh, we end up with these 3 at the end. Why don't you think they showed us this? Because I feel like that would even add more stock to how great Earl was playing because he has these 2. He has Yao-Man. He has Michelle here. He has his first Rabu tribe with Anthony, Erica, everyone else that's on Rabu. He's never going home. Why don't you think they show us that?
I will say I think it is just because it ends up not becoming relevant. Like I think they really tell the story of like these other people suck, that like that's why they get voted out versus like there's an alliance of 3 cooking up plans to vote them out. I really don't know. I often wonder why the editors do what they do. I did read recently that Jeff like hated the haves versus have-nots like immediately when like while it was going on. He was like, we should have never done this. I do wonder if that had any. I think if they focused on their alliance, it could have focused more on the haves have-nots type thing. I guess. I mean, I don't know if there was any sort of like
I'm not implying
racial
that. I was
reason
saying, I wasn't
for them
implying
not
that.
doing
I'm not
it.
implying that.
Yeah. No, but no. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I don't know if that's a reason that they chose to not show it.
I don't know if the world was ready for it.
Yeah,
in
that's what I'm thinking too.
2006. Because realistically, there's no reason not to show that relationship that first day. We set the precedent in Palau of like showing these relationships that got formed during that big one world stage that had longevity. There's no reason not to show it, if not for the backlash you could potentially face in 2006. And I think that's also a big reason. You go back to last season, obviously the I-24, all people of color, but that was really never like brought up or talked about then either, when that's most definitely something that was at least mentioned once or twice out there on the island, probably. I don't think the world was ready for it, or at least CBS thought they weren't.
I also wonder like how much Cassandra and Dreams like really did. Like imagine if they went to imagine if they focused on their alliance and then every time they went to them to make a decision was literally just like Earl telling them what to do. That would have probably been ass TV.
Cassandra is like Becky for me from last season, where like I focus a lot on her this time just to kind of see just in the edit what we get. And a lot of people are going to Cassandra with a lot of stuff. And even during the touchy subjects portion of the game, she's doing pretty well in it, which shows me that she has a good grasp on what's going on in the game. And yes, I still vote for Earl because, of course, I vote for Earl. But like, I don't think Cassandra was just one of these jabronis that were just kind of along for the ride. I do think that she had some idea of what was going on in the game. And like Dreams, especially, like we talked about it earlier before you got here, Ian, but like Dreams is one of these overly chaotic people, not because he's doing it on purpose. He's just doing things just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And it ultimately works for him to the point where he does make it to the final 3, which brings me to my last point. Dreams at Final Tribal does admit that the Yao-Man thing was kind of a ruse. Like, yeah, I didn't go back on it. I was probably always going to do this. And I feel like in today's game, even post 20, people would look at that and be like, yeah, it's fucked up, but like, good on you. Like that That is a solid move. Would I still vote for him at the end? I don't know personally, but that is what the kids might call a big move. Yes, I did this on purpose to further myself in the game, and it worked because I'm sitting here and Yao Man is not. Julie, do you think this specific move, like everything happens exactly the way that it happens on screen, do you think this gets respect, now?
Absolutely. I definitely think it gets respect. Do I think it gets him enough respect to win? No, but I do think that it wouldn't be as frowned upon, chastised by the jurors as much as it was this season if the exact same thing played out in Survivor 51.
Ian, I know you kind of agreed, but do you have anything?
Yeah, a move that I like have compared this to in the past, just to my own accord, because I talk to myself, is like when Rob immediately revotes Matt out in Redemption Island. Like, I think that is like people don't agree with it, but like, fuck, what the hell was his name? David was like, holy shit, that was like badass. Like, I do think people would take a step back and be like, oh, that like wasn't necessarily the best thing. But if Dreams was able to be like, I did that move to then know that that if two people won immunity, I would be in the final three. And that's like, as long as you give a reason for your move, people will be like, oh, there's a resume check, which I hate, but like people do that. So I do, that's a move I compare it to a lot. Because it's only 4 years later, but it's like one's revered and one is like, hey, you're a terrible Christian because you lied in a game about lying. But yeah, I do think Earl wins no matter what. Like I think one of the best things about Earl's game is that he is like the most likable fucking person ever. Besides having a good game, like I think people wanted to vote for Earl even if the other two had good games. I still think he wins.
Yeah.
That's why he is my favorite player of all time. I was so sad when he couldn't come back for 40, but with the way the boot order went in 40, I'm okay with it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I'm not, Sandra and Parvati, like I'm not even a Parvati person, but like Sandra and Parvati going the week that everything shut down, it's like, yes, it was a sign. Like we don't need this. And I guess second to last thing now of the fact that we've only had Yao Man back from Fiji. Like once again, I understand why people don't like Fiji. I get it. Hazards, have-nots, all of that. This isn't. I don't hate Guatemala, but I understand why Danny and Stephanie are the ones that come back from it. Like I get it. I like other people there. This isn't that. Like there are a few. Dreams is so hated then that you could have easily brought him back. And yes, you bring him back for people to hate him, but you at least bring him back for a later season. I understand that every time Earl is supposed to come back, something happens and he can't.
Yeah.
I get that. But the fact that Yao Man is the only person from this season to come back, and that was 2 seasons later, I think is I won't say insult, but like I think that is one of the reasons that people look at so lowly on, similar to Guatemala and similar to Vanuatu. People look so lowly on it, even though Vanuatu is very good and people should give it a second chance.
I think Dreams is really hurt by James coming the next season because James is just like, yeah, like it sounds bad, but yes. And I think he's hurt by that, truly.
No, I mentioned that with Bobby John and Jamie in Guatemala. Like, why don't people talk about Bobby John and Jamie as like an all-time rivalry? It's like, well, Terry and Aris happened the very next season, so
yeah,
you don't care about Bobby John and Aris, or Bobby John and Jamie anymore. Which leads us to our final thing. Julia, something that the modern day fandom would hate about Survivor Fiji.
I think they would really, really hate the jury questioning specifically. I think we got kind of a taste of that with the leading questions and how people were approaching it in 50. And it was not taken very well. But people made their biases very, very clear when they were asking their questions in 14. And we've gotten so coddled with the new jury questioning format. They're not ready for those insane cuckoo questions anymore.
Ian?
I actually think people would really hate the entire pre-merge. Like it's so not. I wouldn't even say it is boring. This is one of the rare seasons I think where like the people that go home in the pre-merge are so fucking boring, and it like actually like if you think about it, everybody that makes the merge aside from like maybe Liliana was like a fairly decent player character. Maybe not in the way Lisi describes it, or I think it's Lisi that like gets all weird about Liliana.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
like she's Mexican, so like yeah, like the
yeah,
Mexican women are like Jesus, Lisa.
yeah, like
Fuck up.
Erica, Rita, like those people are so boring. I do think people would be out on this season by the time it got to the merge, but I think at this point and where we are in the new era, like people would be reveling at the fact that we have like negative people, like people to root against. Like I do think the four horsemen are like extremely, I mean, they're like all kind of dicks, but they're all like they're an extremely fun group to root against. Which is why I think it is terrible that we've only seen one returnee when like Mookie, Alex, they would be fun to have back. Even like, I mean, at the time, I probably thought Boo was like a good player. He's obviously not, but Michelle does deserve a second chance. Stacy sucks, but like, it's just I hate that people don't like the season because it's so fun and it is like it has some or origin of strategy in it. And like I don't know, I just feel like we lose that eventually, especially with idols. Like it takes a while for the next like idol strategy to come into the game. This was like it for some time, and the fact that we have like Samoa with like 3 or 4 returnees and this has one is just sad.
It's sad, yeah. I mean,
Monica Padilla, what is that?
Okay. Who voted for her? Did either one
of you
vote?
Nobody did.
To be cheeky for a second, I feel like the modern day fandom would hate how diverse the cast is, but like whatever.
Oh, true.
I think that people would hate the fact that this is very, and we talked about it yesterday with Cook Islands. They would hate this cast or this season is pretty twist heavy. Not as twist heavy as Cook Islands, but there are a lot of twists in this season, and I feel like people would be kind of turned off to it. Once again, modern day fandom. Oh, we didn't have all these things back in the day. It's like, yes, you did. You did have this back in the day. If you want to hate this because of whatever, fine. And I know people, rational people, that hate modern day Survivor for real reasons. When they say things like we didn't have twists and we didn't have this and all this back in the day, it's like we did. And you have to just say you don't like whatever it is you don't like. But that's what I think that people would hate on this. Final question. Ian, who's your number one ally of the season?
Ooh, good question. I can't even say Earl because he'd be too good. I just wouldn't do it. I do think Cassandra is like the perfect ally. Like I really do. I don't think she's like a very good player, but people bring her information. She is adept. She understands what's going on in the game. I think she understands her position in the game very well. She's not going to win. Like she's not going to take challenge wins away from you. Her water shoes suck. But yes, I think Cassandra is like what I would say. I also enjoy working with women in games. I feel like there's too much ego on the male side for the most part, which again on this season that's like times times 1,000. Everyone on this season has like, besides Anthony, who has like no ego, everyone else has like 100x. And Yao Man and Earl are normal people, but yeah, I would say them. Definitely not fucking Sylvia. She's terrible, dude. Genuinely one of the worst players of all time. Sylvia.
Hey, she built the camp. Uh, sort of. Julia, same question.
I feel like me and Yao would have a great time. I think we would have a good time. And yeah, I don't know. Like the same thing I said yesterday. I can be very, and I feel like Yao can just be a very, very soothing presence for me.
For me, it would be Michelle. And I think the scene where Earl talks about how they would get up at the ass crack of dawn and just kind of talk about what's going to go on through the day, that's kind of where I'm at of like, okay, before everyone starts, and I guess especially in this season where there are not a lot of people that are overly strategizing, it's like, okay, as long as we can get a game plan for the day, we don't have to talk to each other at all, and we will probably be fine unless something like a crazy merge happens, in which case, sorry, and you kind of go. But I know I have your vote at the end, and please take those dreads out of your hair. Ian, one, thank you so much for. I know that you had stuff tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And it's always great shooting this. This is Ian, for anyone. This is Ian's third time doing the marathon. He's one of a fair few that have only done this 3 times or have done it 3 times with me. So thank you so much. Julia, thank you for doing back-to-back nights. We will have you back for 48.
Yeah, you get a long layoff from me.
For 48.
Unless I get the call.
Thank you. I know we did this super late, so we had nobody in the chat, but thank you to everyone that has been in my DMs, everyone that's, continued to reach out. And we will be back tomorrow for Survivor China, which will be a nice, quaint little change from Fiji. No one's overly dying in it. So we'll see you tomorrow for Survivor China.